everybody, and welcome to my first impressions of Mercenary Kings. This is a game by Tribute Games, and it is a side-scrolling platformer adventure game which actually has a lot of similarities to Metal Slug, as you'll be able to see pretty much immediately after we get into the game here. So I played for about 2 hours, and, yeah, so there's a lot to show off for this game, so we'll actually load into that one, as opposed to making a new one. I think it actually makes a lot more sense to go with my continuing save for this one. So, first off, the thing that I would want to mention is actually the graphical quality of this game, because that is one of my favorite things about it, without a doubt, to be completely honest. This game looks freaking gorgeous, in regards to its pixel art quality, mainly because of how polished it is. And of course that's something that can be stated for any kind of like graphical, for any game or anything really. Polish always makes something better. But really I feel like that especially stands out with pixel art, and that's what goes the extra mile towards making it go the extra length, from the basic sprites of the characters to there being like a lot of unique little characters in the background as well, like this cute little kitty cat right here. But let's go ahead and talk about the gameplay. So of course, as I mentioned before, it is a game that controls very similarly to Metal Slug, if you are familiar with Metal Slug, but it is also incredibly different. Like, you might say, hey, if it's like Metal Slug, is it a very incredibly quick paced, like, action game where one hit kills you as you jump around shooting enemies and stuff like that? And, no, that actually is not the case. It's a little bit slower and more, methodical than Metal Slug is, so it's not slow in a bad way, actually in a very, very interesting and good way in regards to, how it changes up to the gameplay. So let's actually get back into a standard level, or jump into a standard level. Oh, I forgot, we gotta talk to our general first. We talked to this dude to go ahead and start off all of our missions, and as you can see, there are a lot of them, because these aren't the missions in general, these are like the ranks that lead to the missions, and then once you open one up, you see there's like all this stuff that we could do here. So let's go ahead and start a new one. We'll go ahead and try this raw materials one, and basically how the raw materials mission works, we'll talk about the rest of them later, is that basically you have to collect a bunch of items that are scattered around the map within a limited amount of time, and once you collect all those, your mission is completed. So we'll just go ahead and chill here as our guy does the beginning mission animation. So, what makes this game unique? The thing that's, mainly in regards to how it handles its gameplay, because unlike a lot of these side-scroller shoot-em-ups, you don't really have a dodge roll too often, at least, actually, that has changed rather recently. A lot more of these side-scrolling games are including a dodge roll, so that's actually kind of completely wrong now that I mention it. Like games like Risk of Rain and stuff like that are including a dodge roll, which makes me very happy. But this one actually has like a reloading kind of gimmick, which adds a lot to the gameplay because it's very rhythm based. Oh god, that guy totally got us. You could use your knife, which you can actually replace with various weapons like the frickin' pickaxe that we have right here as of now. And those weapons actually do not have to reload, but your basic weapons, at least all the ones that have come across so far, which has actually only been a pistol, your basic weapons always do have to reload. And the one that I have right now is actually one that's very heavily based on being very powerful, but of course has a very low reload rate because of that. But I actually kind of prefer that. Oh god, it's this frickin' robot dude. I don't like this guy, he's a frickin' jerk. He's almost like impossible to kill because he just jumps all over the place and keeps shooting at you. But, oh, okay, not all that bad to handle. So, of course, as you can see, whenever you shoot your gun, that reloading bar does come up. Obviously, whenever you, and what happens then is that you have to click, right bumper if you're using a controller, or I forget, I think it's spacebar if you're using the keyboard. But by doing that, you actually reload your gun as quickly as you possibly can. Well, if you hit it in the yellow, it'll actually just take like a second longer to reload. But if you get it in the white zone, it's going to take you a hell of a long time to actually fully reload your gun. So let's actually make this guy really easy and just chill down here, because that guy is kind of a loser. Actually can't hit us at all if we're crouching below him. So, so yeah, so the things that I really like about the gameplay in regards to this game is that it's oh god, it's still really fast-paced, mainly because of the whole reloading gimmick that the game has going. Oh god, I didn't know they could deflect bullets. I've never seen that happen. That was kind of weird. But really, the reloading feature of this game is what really, this guy's like our ally right here. We could just talk to him, but it doesn't really matter what he has to say. The reloading gimmick is really what has made, the gameplay so, like, fast and furious so far from what I've played so far, rather than it just being, like, bullet hell. There is a lot of bullet hell moments, especially when you come across kind of, like, boss characters in the game, but it's not nearly as intense as something like a Metal Slug, or at least as far as I've gone in the game. I should say, everything that I mentioned in regards to, like, the difficulty of the game, I guess, should be taken with somewhat of, somewhat of a grain of salt, seeing as the fact that I'm not all that far into the game so far, because there actually is a hell of a lot in it. This lady is very annoying. I really don't like her. You can't shoot her from above either because her helmet just blocks it off, so you gotta either try to shoot her from behind or just shoot her in her wacky, zacky face or whatever. There's also all these chests around that drop items for you that you can use. Speaking of the items, let's actually go. It's high time we probably actually talked about the collecting and crafting kind of mechanic in this game, because obviously that is a very, very important one, and one that happens pretty much all throughout the game. What happens is when you kill enemies, they will actually have a chance to drop an item. I actually have it set right now, so no matter what, they will drop an item. That's why we're seeing so many of them. Oh, that was actually kind of close. But yeah, what those items do is that they allow you, some of them you need actually for these collecting missions, and I believe that actually is the goal for this one right here, although I honestly have no idea what we're collecting. Probably 10 lead, I guess, seeing as that thing just popped up, but that might just be an additional task for the mission at hand. But we'll see that in a bit, of course. But as I was saying, the main game feature of all the crafting and gathering and stuff like that is that you're actually going to need these materials in order to craft upgrades for yourself, which go in the form of additional guns, more defense in regards to, like, armor, and of course other things like that. Like, looking at our gun right now, we actually have a kind of modded gun, not just because we're using a different one than we started off with when we first began the game, but also because we're actually, we've got some, like, equipment, like the stock on it, and that kind of thing that looks like a silencer or some kind of barrel. That actually is another item that we put on the gun by buying upgrades. So, and those upgrades are completely, to get the upgrades, how you get them is both spending money, of course, but also using the resources that you have gathered throughout the map. So let's see if this ends the level right here. Ah, yes, okay. So of course that's the gathering mission right there. You just gather as many resources as you can within the time limit, and then once that is over, you just are brought back to base. So there's like our victory screen, but we don't really need to check that. So we're also gonna get some text right here. That's one thing I should mention. There is, of course, a story in this game. We're basically, like, fighting a war against this guy named Claw. Not the Claw from Inspector Gadget, but that would be pretty funny. I haven't gotten into it so far, but it seems to be okay. But obviously, this isn't a game where story is like the main factor to it. It's mainly the gameplay and the fun in that regard. And obviously, that is all done very, very well. So let's go ahead and show off our base. This is like the hub world, the base. You'll actually get more people here to help you out as time goes on. Like this robot up here, this funny looking robot is one of the many ones that you start with, and that actually allows you to do multiplayer. So this game does have multiplayer. I think it's both online and couch co-op. But this dude, like this guy here, he's one that you actually have to find in a mission to get on your team, because you do not start with him immediately. He allows you to make different knives, and as I mentioned, you do that by both using materials you've gathered and spending a little bit of cash. So of course there are stats mixed with all the weapons, and like if we look through here, I'd really like that hunting knife, that looks good, or the fish knife, because that's both funny and better than the one that we have right now. But yeah, and actually mentioning that, seeing as we have this pickaxe right now, and the weapon that we actually started off with was this really standard knife right here, you could actually see that the animation for our attack does indeed change whenever we swap weapons, and that's probably one of the simplest, like, small things in this game, but one that goes a long way towards all of its polish, and something that I love in all games. The more detail that goes into, like, weapons loadout in regards to it actually changing visually to the player always makes a huge impact in my mind. Like, here is, like, a supply person, this person you can upgrade your weapons from, and this person you can build mods that give you additional things, like the one that we got, Hoarder, so all enemies drop loot, and additional defensive stuff as well. Or is that the person that you get extra armor from? I don't know, sometimes I forget who you get what from. But yeah, so let's go ahead and jump into another mission as I actually go ahead and talk about, why is there a star on that one? That's weird. Maybe that means we completed all the missions for that? I don't know. Just so I can, like, talk, or focus while not really focusing on my gameplay. Let's do a mission that I've already done before. But yeah, so my main complaint about the game right now, and actually in all honesty, I'd probably say my only complaint, is that out of all the missions I've played, and as you guys have seen, I haven't gone very far in the game, but there are indeed a lot of missions that I have accomplished, and a lot left. There are a lot of missions that I have accomplished so far, and my one complaint for sure is, oh man, actually this is a huge counter to the arguments that I was just gonna make. I was going to say that there aren't really all that, like, I didn't know if there were any more than just one single map in this game, but this actually is definitely an additional map right here. I still have that one complaint then, though, because obviously I was wrong when I was thinking there is only one map in this entire game, and that would be kind of awful, because things were getting a little bit repetitive, not because of the gameplay, but just because we were on the same map over and over again for so many levels. And like I was saying, obviously I was wrong about there being only one map, but that complaint does still kind of stand, because I played like 5 missions in a row that were all on the exact same map. So, really, a lot of how the the gameplay mechanics in this game work are kind of repetitive at base, I would say, because what's going on is you're mainly just running around killing guys while either searching for a boss to fight, and boss levels are somewhat rare, at least from my experience so far, or you are actually doing these gathering hunting missions, or if you're not gathering, it's usually trying to either find a hostage to rescue them or kill specific units, like a number of specific unit. So when you're playing the exact same map over and over again, trying to accomplish that thing, or that task, it gets a little bit tiresome, because obviously those tasks don't really leave a lot of diversity in regards to gameplay changes. So you kind of have to rely on the map to bring the most of those, in regards to changing up the gameplay and how it works and all that. But yeah, so that would be my one complaint so far, but obviously we're playing a new map right here, or at least one that I'm not necessarily all that familiar with. And there might be additional maps that are added later on in the game. I do heavily say might, because obviously I have not witnessed those, and I totally just... that was really bad. I suffered right there. Whenever I should actually show off the inventory. There are a couple of gameplay things that I didn't show off yet. If you hold down the left bumper, you actually pull up your inventory, which you can use healing stuff like rations or this first aid kit right there. You do only have 4 spaces, and 2 of them are occupied by the gun and your transceiver. But then you also can have like shock weapons, which allow you to capture dudes, which really it allows for some very fun missions where you have to kind of capture a boss, so you have to weaken him first and before you can capture him. Kind of like the Monster Hunter games, if I am correct. I've actually only played a demo of the Monster Hunter games, so I'm not I don't have all that much knowledge in regards to those games. But let's actually go ahead and go back to the hub world for ending the video here. But yeah, so, that's pretty much Mercenary Kings. I love the gameplay. I hope that there are more maps. Right now, that is my one problem with the game, but the music is awesome in it. I forgot to mention the music. The animation is phenomenal. I didn't see all these 1s and 0s popping out of this satellite. That's kind of funny. I really like that. All around very polished, except for in the number of maps, like I said, and I shouldn't harp on that because I may indeed be wrong as time goes on. But like, let's see, there are all these missions, and most of those have been on the same map so far. But yeah, so Mercenary Kings is going for $20, at least $20 on Steam, and I would actually highly recommend it to you guys, especially if you're into these side-scrolling action combat shooter games. Like if you're this is the one thing I want to say. I haven't had the pleasure of doing co-op with anyone in this game, but if you do, I would imagine this would be the perfect game for that kind of thing, because this game having a co-op experience would be frickin' awesome. So unfortunately, no one I know has the game, or none of my friends on Steam have the game, so I wouldn't be able to do co-op myself, but that would definitely increase the value quite tremendously. So yeah, $20. I will leave a link to where you can pick up the game on Steam in the description below. And yeah, that's going to be it for this one. I'll see you guys next time.